Okay. So welcome to Chat and Learn with PowerToFly.
Oh, you just went muted.
Gosh.
You're muted. Wonder what's going on. It's going on and off. You're good now. I can just see that your microphone is
Yeah.
unmuting.
I apologize. This is Bevy is a new platform for me, and I will it'll take a bit to get adjusted, but I just want to say welcome everyone and thanks for joining us. We're at the Chat and Learn with PowerToFly, and we're just so excited to have you all here. I just want to share with you, we have the chat area where you can type your insights and thoughts. And then there's also a Q&A portion, and that's where all the questions are located. And we will walk through those together, and you can vote to let us know which ones you're interested in. And definitely tag us on social and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And so a bit about me, I am your host today and your speaker. I help elevate feminine voices, and I say yes to conversations that bring us closer together. And you can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn, and plenty more live chats coming up. So I want to pass the mic to Bari Tessler here with us for our financial therapy fireside. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and what we will be sharing today?
Sure. So hi, everyone. Welcome. And I am a financial therapist and the author of The Art of Money, which came out almost 5 years ago. We'll be celebrating that anniversary. I teach a year-long program called The Art of Money, and it's based on my financial therapy work. I'm an older mom, so I have a 12-year-old, and I had him at 40, so do the math. And what else do I want to say? Today, we are going to be talking about what is financial therapy, and I'm going to be sharing with you both my methodology, sharing tools on how to work with money emotions that come up. I'm going to be teaching a bit about what money dates are, and lots of great questions that came in around financial therapy that I'm really looking forward to answering. So that's just a beginning intro.
Amazing. And I want to just go over the themes for today. Like Bari said, we're going to talk about honest relationships with money through her nurturing, body-centered approach, a bit about money healing, money practices, and money maps, and also money conversations with your partner. And let's dive into the questions. So,
okay, one more thing so people know about my background is that I was originally trained as a therapist and as a somatic therapist. So that's what I spent a decade in my 20s studying. And we'll talk about what somatic therapy is, most likely. And then I didn't become an entrepreneur until I turned 32. And that's when I finally realized that I can't work for anyone else and I needed to start my own business. So I've been teaching my financial therapy work since 2001. So I'm coming on my 20th year anniversary for that.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Great. Okay. So the first question is, let's, dive a bit into financial therapy. So how do you just tell us about what it is and how do you apply it to people's circumstances?
Okay. So financial therapy for me in a nutshell is I combine financial literacy and emotional literacy together. So at some point when my student loan came due from graduate school, training to be a therapist, that was a huge aha moment for me. And I realized that I did not receive any financial or money training when I was training to be a therapist. And it was, I flipped out in that moment. How was I going to pay it back? And really, what did we learn about money? Nothing. And so for me, that was the moment that I decided, okay, I need to learn about money. And, I realized that most of us did not receive a financial education from grade school on up in small increments. And we did not also receive an emotional literacy education growing up in small increments. So because my training as a therapist is somatic therapy, which simply means body centered, I knew right from the beginning that if I was going to do my own money work and then create a methodology to teach other people, it had to include financial literacy and emotional literacy. And I'm going to be explaining that more as we go. But my husband in 2001 was the first one to say, "Oh, you're doing financial therapy." And I said, amazing. He's always been my namer. He came up with the art of money for my program. So he knew early on I was doing financial therapy. Now, financial therapy also is just helping people look at the set of emotions that comes up around money. And surprisingly or not surprisingly, it's the same set of emotions that comes up in every other area of our lives, So shame, anger, sadness, grief, anxiety, hope, excitement, creativity, fight, flight, freeze, all the more extreme states and emotions comes up as well. So financial therapy is giving people the tools on how to learn what those set of money emotions are, how to work with them, and all the different money interactions that we have. And also for me, I do not just teach about the emotions. So my financial therapy methodology integrates money healing, money practices, and money maps. So 2/3 of my methodology are very practical. And I know we're going to be talking about money dates or how to have a self-care practice. So to complete, financial therapy in a nutshell is integrating financial literacy and emotional literacy. And my particular financial therapy methodology includes money healing, teaching people how to do some money healing work and what that means. And I do recommend that we do that first. Some people want to have some practical things in place right away. They want to have a bookkeeping system. And I always say there's no right order. I've designed my methodology in a particular way. Many people go through it that way, but you can jump around if you need to. So, money practices, what that means, money dates, learning a bookkeeping system, learning what a financial support team is, and then money maps, which a lot of people just call a budget, but I like to rename everything. So that's a teeny bit about how I think of financial therapy. And the last thing is that there's so many great money books out there on the practical parts of saving, paying down debt, investing. Those are all great. Go to them. Most of them do not include why do we get overwhelmed in money decisions? Why do we have anxiety in the middle of a car dealership? When we used to be able to go out for dinner with our friends and the bill would come, why would we suddenly check out or feel anxious and not know how to have a money conversations with the people closest to us? So my work is I love the practical bits, and I usually hand people off to an accountant or financial planner in such good shape. But there's a lot of work, the deeper meaning of what's really going on around money, situations that we'll talk about, and all the emotions that come up and how to work with them.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that part. It's so important to work on the mindset pieces that not many people talk about, and then have the counterparts, the people who will also provide the practical assistance and recommendations that you can make for people to go to for those additional pieces to put it all together.
Yeah.
Excellent. So moving on, we have a question on how can I make money work for me and not the other way around?
So this is a huge question, right? And why I created an entire methodology and a book and a year-long program, and right. But a few things. So for me, I like to create a relationship around money. And that's one of the ways that you can start to have money work for you. So even number one, like, how do you think about money? What are your money beliefs? Some people call it money mindset. So what are the first things that come to you? Money is the root of all evil. Money is power. Money is responsibility. Money is fuel. Money is exchange. Money is our values. So first, just understanding what it means to you, what meaning have you put on money? Because money is not inherently good or bad. It's, it's what we do with it. And yes, there are a lot of issues in our culture and in our economic system that need to change, that are set up in a way that is creating inequality, in many ways. But to go back to how do you see money? Positive, negative, there's that. And then what qualities would you like to bring to your relationship to money? So this is one of the things that early on I knew, if I was going to start learning about money and have a relationship, I needed to bring all the qualities that I was living in every other area of my life and learning as a therapist. So I wanted to bring deeper meaning. I wanted to bring creativity. I wanted to bring savvy. So I was looking to have a healthy, savvy, creative, meaningful, successful relationship to money. Everyone's different. So how do you see this area of life as a relationship? And the last thing is, also, I like to liken it to a garden. And this is an area of our life that needs attention and care. So not too much attention, not too little, not too much watering, but it needs ongoing care. And so that's just a little bit. It's a huge question. How do you make your money work for you? My whole entire methodology speaks to that. But here's a little bit of a beginning. Look at it as a relationship. What qualities do you want to bring to it? Liken it to a garden. And then I would say the last thing is, one of the first exercises I usually give people is name 5 things that you're doing well around money. Because usually people come to me and they tell me how they're stupid around money, what they haven't learned, they're earning well, but they're going into debt, or they're not earning enough, or, they come in saying all the things that aren't working. I want people to start with listing out 5 things that are working well. It could be so simple as, I love to tip. I'm a really good tipper, It could be, I've raised my son as a single mom, and he's in his 20s, and he's a really good young man. I have people come up with all sorts of things. They're really surprised by this first list. So I would say that's another little next step to take, is make that list of 5 things that you actually do well around money.
Thanks so much for that. I'm learning a lot, and because I think I definitely am one of those people who kind of is critical and looking at the things that aren't working. So it's nice to be reminded and to learn from you and understand how I can look at the things that are working, so I can move forward from that place. And diving right in, I want to know, for your art of money journey, what was your biggest aha moment?
Another huge question, right? So I'm 20 plus years into doing my art of money work. This work, our relationship to money, is a lifelong journey. I will continue, to learn and grow, and every year fine tune, But I'd say one of the biggest ahas is that in life, there's ebbs and flows. And guess what? In money, there's ebbs and flows as well. And so, and there's going to be curveballs in life, and there's going to be curveballs in money. And so some years we're going to be earning more and giving more and saving more. But guess what? In a long life, that's not every year. Some years we're in a huge transition. We're having a health crisis. We're leaving the corporate world to start our own, business, our own practice. We're new moms. We're taking care of elderly parents. Like, these are real life things that affect our earning, affect our lifestyle. So just please know that some years we're growing and making more money and saving more and giving more. Other years, we're just trying to live within our means. Other years, we're in a huge transition, and we're either going into that savings, or we're using a 0% credit card very intentionally. So, this is one of those things. There's ebbs and flows in life. There's ebbs and flows in money. So please know this, and transitions are real and it's okay. And, 1 year when I first had my child 12 years ago, I decided to simplify everything and let go of my entire team and become a one-woman show after having a whole team. So yes, my income really dipped for a year or two before I was sleeping again and recovered. Once I was able to grow again. So everyone's always grow, grow, grow. But in a long life, we're going to have years where we're not growing. That's not the best. It's actually the right rhythm or pacing is to slow down, to simplify, and to please know in a long life, we all have our own rhythm that we really need to listen to. And we all hit milestones at different points in our lives. I got married at 35, first and only child at 40, bought my first home at 46. We're all so different, we all are, everyone is going to have their own rhythm and pacing, and please honor that and listen to it and don't try to have or follow anyone else's rhythm and pacing.
Yes, I loved everything that you just said. And I want to hear more as far as, shifting from shame and blame towards past experiences. Yeah. What can we do here?
Okay. So I'm going to share with you all my favorite tool. When people say, like, what's the first thing to do around money? I love bookkeeping systems. When I first realized I can learn one, it was like mind blown, because as a therapist, as a dancer, as a more of a creative person, I didn't think I could use that part of my brain. And I love that part. I love the practical part so much. But that's not my first tool. The first tool that I do give that is going to honor how we work with shame and blame in our past is what I refer to as a body check-in. Now, some of you may have a meditation practice or a yoga practice or just a centering practice or take a deep breath practice. So I invite everyone to do something similar around money and to do it in all the daily money interactions that we have. So a body check-in is simply 5 seconds. It could be a full minute of checking in with yourself and asking on a physical level, what's going on right now? What do I notice? Are my legs crossed? Are they open? Are my shoulders up? Are they down? And you're just being curious. The next level is, are there any sensations going on in my body of any movement, any stillness, any tightening, butterflies? Next level is, what is the emotions? What are the feelings that are present, right? No need to change them. Just be curious what's coming up. And the last one is, where's your breath? So is your breath all the way up in your throat? Is it in your chest, down in your belly? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Those are the 4 levels of a body check-in. Sometimes I end a body check-in with what's one little adjustment that I can make. Can I lower my shoulders and do a little shoulder shimmy? Can I try to get my breath deeper in my belly? Can I loosen my jaw? So that's one little adjustment. So a body check-in is something to bring to any money conversation that you're going to have with your spouse, with your partner, with your new spouse, boyfriend or partner or girlfriend, with your parents, with your children, with your boss, with your, clients, when you're in the car dealership. So I invite everyone to do a body check-in before, during, maybe in the heat of the moment, you remember, or even after as a debriefing. Also, the body check-in can happen when you're going to go online and look at your numbers and your balances, when you're going to go online and do some online shopping, right? Do a body check-in. Are you going in there with a set of questions like, do I need this? Do I want this? Do I already have one in my closet? So body check-in is the very first tool. What does it do? It slows us down. It can help us get more in our body, right? It can give us some information and data on what's going on, what sensations, what feelings. It helps us bring more awareness to all of these money interactions, which eventually lead to us starting to learn more about what our money story is. Now, our money story, we have strengths. We all have strengths around money, and we all have challenges around money. We all learn things from the people that were raising us, from our culture, right? Even 2 people raised in the same family, though, are going to be different around money. My brother had a bank at age 5, and I was more of a spender. I had more things that I was excited about that I wanted at 7, so it's just our money story is based on, what we learned, our lineage, our, economic class that we were being raised in, what are, our religion, spirituality. It's also based on our personality, how we translate what we're learning, right? And what we're seeing. And do we do just what is similar to what our parents do, or do we rebel against it? So there's so much there about money story. This little tool, the body check-in, is something, it's to be practiced. You're not one and done. You're not going to one day have no more money emotions. That's like saying I'm not going to have any emotions as a human, but what we're going to be able to do is catch them quicker and put them to the side and name it and learn how to sit with it. I was once in a car dealership starting to hyperventilate. This was years ago, because quick buying decisions made me very nervous back then. I went in the bathroom. I did a body check-in. I calmed myself down. Then I was able to ask myself, now what practical support do I need? And I came back in and I said to my husband, we need to have a money date in the middle of the car dealership. And we went through a series of questions, right? And then could make a good decision. So for me, shame is just one of the emotions that comes up around money. I'm not okay. I'm wrong. Everyone else knows how to do this except me. If I came from a different family, I would have been great with money, but I didn't. Again, if I'm bad, I wasn't great at math, so then I'm not good with money, or I can never learn a bookkeeping system. Shame is just, I'm not okay. Something's wrong with me, right? I need to be different. And a lot of people come into their relationship to money thinking this. So let's go back to, please list out 5 things that you're really good at. That's number 1. Number 2, start doing the body check-in and all these different money interactions. Is it shame for you? It's shame for a lot of us, but it may be anger and anxiety, sleepiness, sadness. It could be other feelings as well in there. And there's deeper work to be done around what is your money story. That takes time and journaling, and people can go to my blog, they can go to my podcast, my book. There's tons of journaling exercises to learn more about your money story. And what it comes down to is learning, what you learned growing up, what worked, what didn't, really honoring the younger part of you that made the decisions that they made. You were the best you could be. You did the best that you could, And so, yes, there needs to be forgiveness here. There needs to be understanding. And then there need to be, new habits and patterns and all of that put in place, which is, takes time and the rest of my methodology. So this is a beginning. The body check-in is one of those little simple tools to be practiced over and over and over. It's not one and done. You won't be able to calm yourself down right away. But within that, stop and pause, bring more awareness and understanding to what you're learning, sensations, emotions, any memories, images that are popping up around your money story. This is a journey. This will take time. And then from there, we can start evaluating like what money habits and patterns are working, which ones are not, what do we want to change? Okay. And moving into, honoring who you were, forgiving that person, and stepping forward into, new habits.
Yeah. And with that, I want to get into, some people are in a partnership. So, when they want to approach their partners to have a money conversation, what are some ideas and tips that you can offer them?
Okay, I'll first say what not to do, but I've done all of this. Don't get the credit card bill and go running to your honey or spouse and going, oh my God, you spent what on what? When they're in the shower or right before bed. Don't have a money conversation. Okay. I mean, most of the time that doesn't work. So I can name lots of moments of like what not to do. Okay. What to do is, hey, honey, is now a good time to have a money conversation? Just that, okay, is pretty big. But I have an entire step-by-step process of teaching couples how to have a new kind of money date. Because for most of us, this is where we fight. or, this is where we disagree, or guess what? This is where we have different styles. But no two people come together, even if they come from a similar family background, and usually they don't, or not, they could come from the same lineage, but maybe a different economic class, or they could come from the same economic class, but guess what? Their parents, each of those two people come together and they don't earn and spend and save and give and invest in the same way. No two people do. Even if you have the same values on the surface, you're going to spend differently. Me and my husband on the surface had the same values, but guess what? We, have two big areas. He likes expensive road bikes. I don't buy big, expensive gear, but what do? I like acupuncture. I like chiropractic. I like meditations. One year we had a huge disagreement about that. But when we really got down to it, a couple of years of my self-care compared to his road bike were the same amount of money, So come back to two people don't spend and save and give in the same way, right? But couples usually polarize, and one person becomes, I'm the smarty pants because I have the finance degree, or I know what I'm doing, so I'm generalizing, where one person thinks they know everything from the finance degree. One person feels stupid. One person is really hypervigilant and likes to keep track of all the bookkeeping. The other person sticks their head in the sand. Again, these are polarizing, but it's pretty common for polarizing to happen, within couples. We have different styles around this, right? How much we want to be involved, how much not. So with couples, I have a process that I was saying, and I'll just name it really quickly. We don't go into bookkeeping or numbers first. That's step 3. Step 1 is story time. So instead of your old money dates of at random times, you schedule a money date at the beginning, and let's say you start with 30 minutes and you each get 15 minutes, and one person just gets to talk, and it's story time, and you share memories, thoughts, feelings. Go to any of my journal prompts, in my book or my blog, and share what you remember about growing up and what you learned around money, the first time you made money, the first job you had. What did you feel? Did you have to get a job? Did you not? There are so many moments along the way that you can talk about. And so story time is first. And spend some money dates just like that, where you're each sharing. Me and my husband used to do this over dinner, a glass of wine, out for dinner. We loved it. And each person gets 15 minutes, and the other person doesn't talk. So the other person can sit and do a body check-in. And if they're noticing the blame, if they're noticing the judgment, they get to sit in it. That's their own stuff. And then the other person, and then you switch. So at the beginning, it's teaching you how to have a new kind of loving and compassionate money conversations that we just don't learn. We don't learn how to do this. Second step is values. This is where you talk about your values that are on the surface, and then how do you earn and spend and save and invest in accordance with those values, and where are you different and where are you the same? Where does it work in your family household? Where does it not? What are your different styles, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is then who's on what? Who's going to do the bookkeeping? Who wants to do it? Who doesn't want to have anything to do with it? Okay, so a little story is that I did our bookkeeping for a good decade. And then when I got pregnant, all of a sudden my husband one night just taught himself Mint or taught himself iBank. I was like, I don't know how you did that, because I needed someone to hold my hand with a box of tissues and a lot of dark chocolate. And it took me many months. So if you're like me, you might need a bookkeeping trainer to teach you how to learn a bookkeeping system. If you're like my husband, you're very lucky, you'll learn in one night, But then we switched. So couples may think like they get in ruts, but you just never know. So I've heard of couples that one person loves doing the bookkeeping or really wants to do it because they want to learn it for the first time. And so they learn a bookkeeping system, and then the spouse doesn't come in until monthly. So then they bring in a bookkeeper, or they bring in a financial planner as a third partner to help them talk through everything. But the partner doesn't want to see all the little nitty-gritty details, but they need to come in. they need to be involved in some way. So they come in at the end of the month and they have a meeting with an outside support person, and that's how they do it. I've seen other couples where he liked spreadsheets. She hated them. She wanted to learn her own. She learned her own bookkeeping system, and that was what was empowering for her. So so who's on what, and then the fourth one is, what are your goals and dreams, and what life phase are you on, and all of that. So those are 4 little steps on how to have a new kind of a money date with your partner. And it, again, takes time. It's not one and done. When I used to work privately with folks, I like large groups better than private, financial therapy work. But it would take 3 to 6 months of them practicing these money dates before the swearing stopped, the fighting stopped, the crying stopped, before they really moved into, okay, we're really hearing each other. We're really understanding. We each have something to bring to the table. We're very different. It's okay. And, there's no one way. You each have things to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. And if I was someone who is kind of like the backseat person who just don't know anything about what's going on, how do I get involved? What's the first step to take?
Yeah. I would say, read my book, or go to my blog, because I'm very gentle in, are you afraid to peek at your numbers? I understand this well. I used to throw out my bank statements. I used to be very afraid to look at my numbers. So I understand that it's a progression and a journey. And we have all different reasons why we're afraid to look at our numbers, or why we think we can't learn a bookkeeping system, or all right. And so I would say, learn a bookkeeping system. Learn for personal. There's YNAB.com. There's Mint. There's Quicken, and there's MoneyGrit. Those are some of my favorites. For business, get QuickBooks. Get QuickBooks. So I would say, get someone to sit down with you that's a good teacher, and either a bookkeeper. Not all bookkeepers or trainers are good teachers. So I have many articles on who are the players on your financial support team. A bookkeeper, an accountant, a financial planner, financial coach. What are the differences? Now, I name all that out, and then I say everyone's still going to have a different background, a different experience. And most important, you have to feel safe and comfortable with them. Right. And part of that is by doing your own money story work and learning how to use the body check-in, right? So that when you go to a meeting and you're about to check out, you can calm yourself down and go, okay, I may not understand everything they're saying right now, but I can stay in my body and I will learn eventually. Or I'm smart in many ways. And I know that I can come up with some solid questions as we go to help me clarify things, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say, get a financial professional through a great referral, and get them on your support team to help you learn bookkeeping, to help you learn how to know what investments you want to make, to help you read those investment reports, to help you learn your cash flow bookkeeping reports, slowly. But again, this takes time. This is not a quick thing. We're learning things as an adult that we needed to have learned as a kid, right? Or a teenager in small increments. So it's going to take some patience, time. It takes 3 to 6 months to learn a bookkeeping system, and then a year before you're like, I'm rocking this. I feel totally confident. All right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So as far as maybe like in the partnership, one person's just taking care of everything. So is the place to start is just to set aside the time and then have that chat where you're just allowing the other person to share, about like allowing each other 15 minutes to share. That's like sort of like the starting point.
Well, for some people, the starting point is to do their own money work. So I have a lot of people that are partnered, coupled, married. Their partner's not interested. They are. So I always say to them, you go forth, you do your own money working. And so many times their partner starts looking over their shoulder, after so many months going, what are you doing? Or the person who starts doing their own money work, money story work, the money healing, going through my methodology or just reading my book, right? They start doing their own money work, and all of a sudden they approach their partner in a different way, with a different question, with a different need. I have a couple who he hates the word money dates. So he doesn't even want money and date in the same sentence. He also won't do anything beyond 15 minutes. So her approach with him to get him involved is, hey, you got 15 minutes that we can talk about money. And then she can ask him any question she wants and he answers her and he's happy to do that. And that's what works for them. There's no one right way. Where that other couple, one person was way more involved and the guy came in monthly to the third party, right? And so if the one person wants to get involved, I'd say start doing their own money work so that when they approach the money conversations, they have more tools on how to deal with those strong emotions that are coming up. And then they can ask different questions and then they feel more empowered talking about money, asking for account information, asking to be more involved. I would say do some of your own work first.
Yeah, great. Just get curious and look some things up that is the first thing that's top of mind that you want to know about, and do this a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
and then talk about it.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, so as a budding solopreneur with a side consulting business, how can I find the right price or feel confident about the price to set for my services?
Okay, so I have a great article on this, and I have about 7 different questions to ask. There's no right way, right? There's no one pricing. It's not like you're set in stone. You come up with the pricing, and then you have to live with that forever. This is an ongoing journey, right? So how do you come up with some pricing? So some of the questions that I ask when I've been in that position over the years, or that I teach to other people, is number 1, yes, do a body check-in. Okay, so just check in with your body. What number feels right? What would feel good? What would feel really good for me right now? Now, it's not like you do a body check-in and then you're done. No way. But just that's one place to start. Check in. Does an hourly amount come out? We're all trying to figure out what hourly fee feels good to us. How much we need to make monthly. So here's another thing is you have to know what your personal numbers are, right? So you have to know what that is first. So, and as far as what your personal numbers are, I usually do that in 3 tiers, and it could be needs, wants, desires, but I like to do it in what's your basic needs right now. Second tier is what's comfortable lifestyle. How do you define that? And third tier is what's ultimate. Now we may be just trying to live within our basic needs right now if we're just starting a brand new business, or we may be a little further down the road and we're trying to, have more sustainable income and we want comfortable income, right? Or we've been working for a company for years and we're going for ultimate. It's all different, right? So, but you need to know what your personal numbers are, and they do influence, if you're working for yourself, what your monthly nut needs to be to move over to your personal. And then you need to know what your business expenses are, but that's something that you're fine tuning and figuring out as you go. So you have to know what your personal numbers are, right? It's also good to look at just where are you in the field? Are you beginning? Are you seasoned and totally down the road, and have a lot of experience? I know for me, I felt my value more and more and felt more comfortable charging more as I went, and as I felt confident in myself. And so, where are you in the marketplace? Do you want to be serving high-end folks? Do you want to be serving lower income folks? Do you want to be serving folks in the middle? I've always liked to have a low-end price point thing, a free stuff, low-end, and then a higher end price point, so that there were many different options that I could support and serve many different people, right? So that's more of it. What else? Who do you want to serve? What are your monthly numbers? What's your monthly nut? Do a body check-in. Where are you? And know that this, as I said, can change, right? And so you come up with a set of numbers, but also you need to understand, here's the last thing, is that hourly fees is one thing. And at some point, having a practice, there's just so many hours in a day you can work, so you are giving your time for money directly. And there's just so far that you can grow with a practice. I've had friends that have therapy practices or acupuncture practices. There's a moment when you realize, is there any way that I can leverage my time? And that's when I moved into doing groups. And not only could I be more generous with my content, I could serve a lot more people. And I actually wound up lowering my price point at one point. So I was, for my groups, I was charging more higher end, and I decided to lower it. And I went in that moment from kind of struggling to get 50 people each group when I was doing 3-month groups or 6-month groups. And then I lowered the price point a little bit. It made it more accessible. And then I was able to get 320 people the first year I did my year-long program in 2013. So it's not always raise your prices. I would say with your personal, with your private fees, yes. But maybe with group fees, you can lower, so there's no one right way to do this. You have to be looking at your whole business model. What are all of your services? Are you doing groups and private sessions? What is it? And so it's about the pricing. You can look on just that, but you also have to really be looking at your business models and phase of life as well, and making the decision from there, and knowing in 6 months or a year, you can reevaluate that.
Cool. Yeah, let's move on to this other question. Just someone who's living month to month and struggling to save and feeling panicked about, something might happen and don't really have a rainy day fund. What can they do in this scenario?
Yeah. So 2 things, probably more than that, or 3 things. One is that you have to be working on income and moving through some money ceilings here. And second, and I'll go back to that. And second, saving is a muscle. And when we don't feel we have any extra, it's hard to look at it as a muscle. It's like, I don't have any extra, what am I saving? And so then you got to go back to the income. And we all have money ceilings, whether it is, an hourly amount, whether it is a monthly amount, whether it is, I haven't made more than this, back in the day, when I got my master's degree, when that student loan came due, I was making $11 an hour. That's why I was so freaked out. I was like, how am I going to pay back my student loan? And I have a master's degree. This is crazy. I'm making $11 an hour, right? So I was wanting to make more than $11 an hour. And that was my first money ceiling. Then it was just a monthly amount, so I want to make more than 3,000 or 5,000, or, we all have a ceiling. And so you can look at that. Other people eventually, if you're in your own private practice, you just want to be making money for the month, but eventually you want to be making enough money for 3 months or 6 months, and be able to plan ahead. And eventually you want to start to look at a year. How can you plan out so that you have clients and groups and whatever it is? You don't know exactly as an entrepreneur, it's ups and downs, but you can plan that out to get to a place where it's more sustainable. Okay. So for this person, I would say you got to start looking at your money ceilings and what they are and being honest about them. We all have them. And then starting to come up with some creative ways, like just brainstorm like crazy. What are ways that I can move through this money ceiling? And everyone's different, everyone's so different. Is it a side job? Is it, I know that, I did bookkeeping for years until I could replace that income. That was my bread and butter with my group work income, so, but I did that bookkeeping was my bread and butter, until I can move over. Or, what do you need to do to take on, offer a discount, take on a few more clients for a period of time to be bringing in extra cash flow? I have, this is a section in my program. There's stuff on my website, like what do you do in cash flow dips? And, it's everything from like, do you have stuff to sell? Are there extra gigs that you can pick up? Is there an extra, can you get a roommate? So brainstorm, write it all out, because I want you to be bringing in extra cash flow so that you can tuck that away. and that is your emergency fund. That is your rainy day fund. That is I always like to call it a cash flow fund. I never wanted to call it an emergency fund, but it's used for those moments. Life happens. We all have them. So it's how do we start to think ahead, which is really challenging for a lot of us. We can be in the present. We can talk about the past. Some of us have a hard time thinking about and planning for the future. And I know that for me, I had to teach myself how to save. I really had to. So in anything came in, I tuck it away and pretend like I don't have it. It's not that I pretend. I'm very clear. I'm putting this money into savings. Mm-hmm. So those are a few of the things. Is for someone like this, I can encourage you to do body check-ins and understand your emotions that come up, and work with ebbs and flows in life and money. But we also do need to plan ahead. So there is some cushion. There is some cash flow that's there. And so that's where you have to come back to looking at your money ceilings and looking at new creative ways that you can bring in more income.
Great. Just like a 401k question is, when is it okay to take money out of it? For this person who asked the question, it's they haven't had income for a long time and working to get disability because they're disabled. So is it okay to take money out of their 401k?
Okay. So again, we all go through transitions in a long life, right? There's going to be moments where we're going to need to dip in that savings or dip into a 401k. I mean, last year was one of the years where there wasn't any penalty during COVID. There was no penalty for, taking out money from retirement up to a certain amount. But the details of that, I do have to always refer to my financial planner colleagues because that's what they do, right? So to become a financial planner, you have to know the ins and outs of, every single retirement account and so on. So, but from an emotional, psychological side or choosing this, ultimately this is their decision. If they don't have money coming in any other way and they have money here, then that's a blessing, and sometimes we do have to dip into that and that's okay. So please go to your HR department or go into your old HR department or ask them. They should always be able to ask questions about 401ks and, reach out to a financial planner and to do this. But, just to plan it out, be aware of, is there going to be a penalty? How much do you need? How much can you leave in there? How much can you live on before you get disability? But, in transition times, we're going to dip into money that was saved at different points. And then some people don't have that, so I would say, yes, use it to help you during this time. Yes.
And then we have a question around giving back. And this particular scenario is just feeling guilt around money because being able to buy a really nice special dinner for Christmas, but then really realizing that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do that. So, so this person, she kind of has gone to buy grocery cards to give away when she comes across someone who needs it. What are other tactics or strategies for around this area of giving back?
Yeah. So first I'll say on an emotional, psychological side, if you come from a wealthy family, if you've received an inheritance, if you're a really high earner, there can be guilt, and people don't know what to do with that. It's just real. It's an emotion. It's, why do I get this when other people don't? Or what did I do to deserve this? If it was family money being passed down. Again, we all come from different families. We all have beauty and challenges in that, right? And so if we do come from a family where we do have extra, where we do have a lot of resources, then as a steward of these resources, I think one of the big questions is, how do we give? And I think that's a lifelong journey to figure out, how do we give, right? And how much? And is it a percentage? Is it just spontaneously when I feel like it? I do know a lot of people who come from wealthy families who do have extra every month. They give to a few women who are single moms or starting their own businesses, and came from a more marginalized place, and they're choosing. That's one of the things I do. So I usually don't, and I'm not going to talk a lot about what I do, but that's one thing, is to find women who come from more marginalized backgrounds and to give, to them on a monthly basis or a yearly basis, or picking yearly organizations that you really believe in and you want to support as a family. So it's a family conversation that many families have. And this is something to do with your children at age appropriate times. We do this with our son who's 12. We talk with him about different places that we want to give, throughout the year. And also that spontaneous things can come up. You hear about a hate crime and you want to give to that family. So I think it's a combination of all of it. We're all different. I think giving is an ongoing conversation in many religions. There's tithing and there's a certain percentage to give. If you're not religious, then you come up with your own version of giving and being generous, and whether that is evaluating throughout the year. So you have an amount, so that every month you're not feeling like, should I give more? Should I give more? Like, some people need structure and need to have certain percentages and amounts. Other people need it to be more spontaneous in the moment. So I think these are deep psycho-spiritual questions for each of us to ask and answer. But it's a really important question, and it's a part of our relationship to money. And it's not always money. So sometimes we give time. Sometimes we give energy. Sometimes we don't have extra money to give, so we give in other ways. And there's no right or wrong way with this. Everyone needs to come up with their own way.
Great. So we're almost coming to the end, and just wrapping up with the last question and then the final takeaways. So what does a healthy relationship with money look like? And maybe that could involve some routines that you would suggest to us.
Sure. Again, one of the big ones, right? That's why I have the money healing, money practices, and money maps. Because for me, we all did not receive, right, a full education, a full financial education. We're learning this as adults. So there are parts of our money relationship that are in good shape, parts that we need to work on. So this is a lifelong journey, right? This is something to be working on forever. But for one of the main tools or practices that I give is in the money practice section, and it's called a money date. So I'm basically teaching you how to have money practice. And again, there's no right way. Like, there's a lot of older guys who, will tell you exactly how to do it. And that's not my style. I'm teaching you to tap into your creativity and intuition here. Yes, and I love to be savvy, right? But you get to craft a money practice and a money care self practice in a way that works for you. Some people, it's every day for 15 minutes. Or at the beginning, it's every day for 5 minutes. You go online and look at your balances, right? And then maybe a next step is not just looking at your balances, but then you go further into your accounts to see, was there any funny business? A few months ago, I found some fraud. I found someone who went shopping in a guy's clothing store, on the East Coast, and I caught it within 36 hours because I was looking, and called my bank. And of course I got credited and all of that, and they were able to stop that. So maybe it's that. A money date is simply sitting down 15 minutes every few days, 30 minutes twice a week, 1 hour, and asking yourself, what needs my attention around money right now? What is one next step I can take? What is two next steps, right? So I'm a big fan of money dates. Some people need to schedule them in their calendar. Some at the beginning, before the habits and grooves really take shape. Other people can be more spontaneous. Now, the fun part of this is that, in my methodology, to do a money date, I want you to get out your chocolate, your mocha, light your candles, play your music, whatever it is. I want you to set the environment, right? So you're adding in qualities So it's less stressful. So it's more fun. So it has some deeper meaning to you, you know? So instead of sitting down and like paying your bills as fast as you can, you do a body check-in at the beginning and you catch yourself, oh, why is it that every time I go to pay my bills, I just want to get rid of my money as fast as I can? I can't even take a deep breath. I can't even honor I'm paying for my rent or I'm paying for my mortgage or, you know, I'm whatever it is, like this is your life, right? And so I want you to honor it. I want you to do a body check and I want you to slow down. I want you to add some fun music to it. I want you to see it as a self-care practice. Again, back to the garden. This is an area of life. Let's approach it as a garden. It needs care. It needs nurturance. It needs watering. So have money dates, schedule money dates, first with yourself, then when you're ready with your partner, then when you're ready with your children and your parents to start to have new money conversations, and just keep asking yourself, what is one next step that I can take around money right now that I can do on my own? Or do I need to bring a new financial support person onto my team, like a bookkeeping trainer or financial coach, and go from there? Yeah.
Beautiful. So, yes, we're at the end of our talk, and I want to thank everyone so much for being here with us. You could be anywhere, but you choose to be here. Bari, can you give us a takeaway for today's meeting, and where can we find you?
Sure. So you can find me in a few places. One, my website, so baritessler.com, and that's BaritTessler.com. Right. So there's my blog, podcast, loads of free content. There's a little 7-day taste of the art of money. If you want to understand more what the 3 phases are: money healing, money practices, money map. So go there. If you want to do the year-long program, that's something that is now, for the first time in 8 years, on demand. So whenever people are ready, they can step in, and they also are a part of the whole community. So, you know, go to my website to learn about all of that. And then I'm on Instagram. That's my favorite these days. And it's also Bari Tessler. I'm not on LinkedIn because I've never been in the corporate world. And so, and I've been running my own business for so many years. So find me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook too. More my personal page these days. Okay. Go enjoy all of that free content. Go get my book. You know, and I would say, pick one thing, one takeaway. Is it starting to do the body check-in before money conversations, before you're going to do online shopping? Is it doing a body check-in as a debriefing after? Is it learning a bookkeeping system? Is it starting to have some money dates? Is it hiring a new person on your financial support team? Okay, so one or all of the above. Start doing it right now, tomorrow. Okay, today, tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bari. It's been really wonderful to have this chat with you. And I love that lighting the candle and getting situated so that it's a good environment, and sending positivity into this, sending out bills that we're paying. I love that whole idea. And it's like doing a little bit of self-love, self-care around money.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks everyone for being here today. Lovely to see you all. Feel free to connect with me, and I will be doing more of these talks. And let me know if you want to collaborate. And I will see you all soon, I'm sure. And bye, everyone. Have a nice and beautiful day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Katy. Thanks for having me. It was an honor.
Thank you.